the core presentation here is that we are looking at the topic that we are presenting today is towards a skill-based economy. And before even I go to the slides or to the content, we know all about what is happening currently, not only in Kenya, but globally. And more so when you are looking at the sub-Saharan Africa, we have a lot of youths that are outside here and specifically the graduates. But we have that skill gap in terms of what they can do after transitioning from a college or university to a professional world. And that's why we saw that it is very necessary to have this presentation as towards a skills-based economy, for which I think when we are looking at our economy as Kenya, we are already there. Um, and how are we supposed now to prepare ourselves as students, those in the corporates? Things are changing daily. We are looking or seeing new technologies that are emerging and so on. So first of all, I want to start by saying that we are living in a time of unprecedented change and opportunity. And we are looking at 7 key disruptors that we have currently. One, we are looking at a situation where technology is everywhere. And by the end of 2020, based on the latest statistics that we are able to get, we had more than 6 billion smartphones globally. Then the second disruptor that we are looking at, we are looking at what called tsunami of data. People have been talking about data science. People have been talking about data, about big data, and so on. So in the last 2 years, uh, more than that is 9 times more data has been generated in the last 2 years. And the major enabler of this is what you call machine learning that has enabled more data to be generated in the last 2 years. Also, we are looking at what you call diversity and generational change as other disruptor that is currently here with us. So we are looking globally that 50% of the population are millennials. And when we are talking about millennials, mostly we are looking at those people who are born between, I think, 1981 to 1996 there. Those are what you call the millennials. And it is projected by 2050, 25% of the global population will be here in Africa with us. Another kind of disruptor that we are looking into that makes us say that we are living in a time of unprecedented change and opportunity. We are having artificial intelligence, cognitive computing, and robotics. So we are looking in 2008, the cost of this technology was estimated to be about 500,000 US dollars. And currently we are talking about 22,000, meaning that this technology is now everywhere. It is becoming more affordable as more organizations are trying to adapt to it. Then also, um, we have some statistics on the jobs that are vulnerable to automation. First of all, I was looking at the global perspective. I'm coming to the next slides that will be talking about Africa and Kenya, where we are. We are looking in UK, for instance, that 5% of the jobs are vulnerable to automation. In US, 7%, and in China, 77%. Also, we are looking at what we call the explosion of contingent work. And when we are talking about contingent work, we are talking about some kind of, from the word contingency, some kind of work that is not very secure. It's like some kind of contractual, casual work, and it lacks that kind of job security. So in US, for instance, we have about 40% contingent workers by 2020, meaning that the organizations nowadays are not employing people permanently. That's why we have a lot of, when we are talking about like a lot of freelancing sites like Upwork, Fiverr, and so on, that have emerged, whereby organizations are able to look for talent in such platforms on a case-to-case basis, meaning that you don't need to employ somebody to be there permanently. So those are some of the disruptions that we are having. So another one, we are talking about change in the nature of careers. So nowadays, you find somebody who studied maybe law is doing something that is totally different from what they studied in college, what they studied in universities, and so on. So those are some of the disruptors that we are having currently. So now we want to look at now the African context where we belong. We want to look at the youth skills and employment in Africa. From the statistics, the source of these statistics is, you can check later. It is called EdTech in Africa keynote presentation. When you just Google, you can get. We find out that 140 million, we are having 140. Before that, we are having between 10 million to 12 million youth that enter the workforce each year in Africa, and mostly without the required skills. You can just imagine the number, how large it is, meaning that these people have gone through various colleges, universities, but they don't have any kind of skills. Then we have 140 million unemployed and discouraged youth. And when we are talking about youth under this context, under this research, was between the age of 15 and 35 years. And the number of jobs that are being created annually in Africa is that's 3.1 million jobs. Again, another worrying statistics is that this 140 million young people will lack an economic stake in the system by 2025. I think this is a worrying statistics that we need to, and the main reason why this is projected is because of the ever-changing kind of uh, skills required in the job market. We have the nature of work, meaning that nowadays what you are doing today, in the next 2 years, it might not be there. So meaning that you need to continue learning daily or improving on new skills. So coming to the infographic in the center with the purple colors, we have those youths contributing to the economy on the left-hand side. We have those that are not actively contributing to the economy. We are looking at 35% of the youth are vulnerable. And I want to give this example when I'm talking about vulnerability. Yes, you are employed, but whatever you are being paid, it cannot sustain you, meaning that you are left vulnerable. And nowadays, most organizations are taking advantage of this unemployment rate in Africa or in Kenya, whereby someone just wants you to maybe they give you a job, but what they are paying you is not equivalent to the amount of work that you are doing, meaning that you cannot settle your bills in case of sickness. If you don't have health insurance cover, you have maybe to rely, go back, and maybe if you have parents or guardians and so on, you have to rely on them. I think this is a worrying statistics, and only 15% of the youth, as you can see, that are contributing to the economy have a wage. And then when we are looking now on those that are not actively contributing to the economy, that 1% of the youth are unemployed and discouraged, and 19% are inactive, meaning that, like, uh, it, you are just there, you are not doing anything. As a young person, you don't have a job, you are just staying. So yeah, it is this is something that is true and is happening currently, and we cannot run away from it. Then when we are coming to now the last infographic on my farthest right, um, 52% of work activities in Kenya are susceptible to automation, meaning that when you look at that number, 52%, it means that there's possibility that 52% of workers in Kenya will lose their jobs in case this automation is implemented. Meaning the one thing with automation, is that in an organization maybe that you required, or in a job that you required 50 people to perform, uh, it means that you will need maybe just one person to be there out of 50, meaning the rest of the 45 people have to go home. So these are the worrying but true statistics. You can find time and go through it. But also from where you are standing, it is something that you have seen yourselves. You don't even need to do a lot of research about it. So I want us now to look at what we call the spectrum of robotic and cognitive technologies. And I can say that this automation continuum, it ranges from that is those that enable strategies that improve business processes to some kind of sophisticated technologies with cognitive elements. And I'm going to explain here slowly because the terms are technical, but I'll ensure that you understand. One, just a minute. Okay, thank you. One thing is that when we are looking at law, the section that has like as we are saying that the automation ranges from those that enable strategies that improve just business process to those that are more sophisticated. When we are looking those with, I can't say they are more of low value, but as per this scale, as you are looking at the low side, we are looking at robotic process automation. And when we are talking about those, we are looking at the technologies that mimic human actions. And this can either, they are kind of programs or robots that mimics rules that are based in actions in existing applications. And I want to give an example here. If maybe if you look at, let me say Coca-Cola that we know well, if you look at that process whereby the whole industrial process, when we come to refilling those bottles with soda, we have to sealing them and packing. Most of them are being done by this robot. That is what we call robotic process automation, meaning that the work that was initially being done by human beings or manually is being replaced by what? By robots because of automation. And then again, now on the medium side, we are looking at what we call intelligent automation, and we are looking at those kind of technologies that mimic human judgment, and mainly it involves those tools and processes that require what we call decision making. And I want to give an example currently what is happening. Uh, we have what we call legal tech. Legal tech is whereby like we have what we call natural language processing and sentiment analysis, whereby we can be able to create a machine learning model, for instance, using natural language process or what we call sentiment analysis that can analyze previous cases and give a judgment. We don't need like the lawyers to be there, or we don't need the judge to be there, not a lawyer, rather a judge. They can analyze a case and give a judgment based on previous almost similar cases that occur. So meaning that this kind of intelligent automations enables us to create those tools that the process requires decision making, like uh, what's the verdict of this case based on past cases that follow the same kind of similarity and so on. Then now we come to what we call cognitive automation. This one mostly augments what we call the human intelligence, and it involves mostly those computerized models that simulate human thought processes through like predictive decision making and so on. So, and here maybe if I can give one example of the kind of computerized models that simulate human thought process through like predictive decision making. Uh, for instance, what you call machine learning, one of the application of machine learning is that it can be used in stock like to predict the prices of stocks and so on. So such kind is like some kind of cognitive automation whereby you are able to create a model that learns from the previous, like it learns from how the stock prices have been performing. Then it can assist you to either make a decision to sell or not to sell. Then also, when now we are moving to futuristic, we are looking at the artificial intelligence itself. I know most of you have come across it, and this one mostly mimics the human intelligence, and mostly it involves that theory and development of computer systems that can perform those tasks that normally require human intelligence. And I want to give one example here. Mostly when we nowadays, since the outbreak of the of COVID-19, we have most countries have developed robots that are able to serve people in restaurants, are able to warn people if you are not wearing your mask well or not, and so on. So that is where now the artificial intelligence comes in. So now we want to look at what called the digital forces impacting professionals currently. We want to look at the digital forces impacting professionals currently. We have those that uh, the level of capability and maturity of these forces, and also we have the value potential. When I want to start with what we call the ERP applications, data modeling, and data warehousing, those kind of digital processes that are impacting professionals, we can classify them as of a bit low value. The main reason is that despite the fact that we are having ERP applications and so on, uh, it ha- it has not replaced that human. Because, for instance, if we have an ERP system that manages maybe the university exam process, still we need human beings to operate. Then we have those at the medium when we are talking about visualization, robotic process automation. We are talking about in a factory that you are having 50 people performing a specific task. Now you are having one person. We are talking about big data, cyber security, and all that one. Now coming to those digital forces impacting professionals that have a very high value, we are talking Internet of Things, or what we call IoT. Um, and nowadays we have those kind of systems that maybe are able to detect some kind of, if I can say, maybe I want just to give one application, maybe in insurance industry, for instance. uh, we can able to, through Internet of Things and machine learning and so on, uh, claims can be automated, whereby if maybe the drought humidity levels in the soil drops to a certain level, it can trigger a payment to all maybe farmers in that area who are insured. And that one can be enabled by Internet of Things and machine learning. Then we have blockchain technology, machine learning and predictive analytics, and so on. So these are some of the digital forces that are impacting professionals currently. So uh, this is how a typical office looks like today. You can see that we are having some people working. We have computers. We have human resources working there. But now some factories have already started doing what you call automation, and this is what a factory looks like today. And most of the factories that are manufacturing, that is motor vehicles and so on, are using robots. And this is something that you can even confirm from YouTube, how the factories that are in the automobile have been in a position to automate the processes that maybe required mechanics and other kind of people. So this is how professionals will work in a few years from now, uh, um, meaning that you automate everything. You don't need to be in the office. You automate everything. Then maybe you just go for like 1 hour to check the output, and then you go back to where you are. So this is how the factories will be in, or how people will be working. There's no need to have many people in the office. You just need maybe one person, and the rest, we are talking about automation, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and so on. So meaning that we need to have these skills so that you are part of those people who are making the systems, and you are not a victim that will be replaced by these systems. So this is now how the future looks like. This is how the future looks like. First of all, we we are talking about the how it is not even the future. It is something that has started to happen, or it is happening currently, because we are having what you call the self-driving cars. We are having what you call the virtual reality, which is some kind of a computer-generated simulation in which, okay, maybe to give more context on virtual reality, if you can look at that person, I hope you can see that slide on the future looks like. We have self-driving cars there. We have robots. We have what called the virtual reality, someone who is wearing something like, I can say, goggles. What it means is that you can be able to tour maybe China while you are just here in Kenya. That's what we mean by virtual reality. Also, other things that we have what called virtual assistants. Virtual assistants just assist in streamlining some processes to make work more efficient, meaning that nowadays, if you go to most organizations' website, we have what called a chatbot. So even if you will be able to leave a message, even if it is uh, 12 a.m. in the morning, and you can get a response. So instead of having someone from the customer care department just sitting there, we have the virtual assistants that are taking up that role. So what is our point of view? We are talking about what you call the uh, augmented kind of workforce. We are talking about some kind of what you call augmented kind of workforce. As you can see, what the augmented kind of workforce is like a blend of human beings, or human employees working together. Like we are having tech, as you can see, we are having some kind of robots and people working together. Like some tasks that can be done by robots, and we have some tasks that can be done by human beings. That is what we mean by augmented workforce. And that is the transformation that is currently ongoing. Then when you are coming on open talent here, we have those that have been disrupted. For instance, employees, employees have been disrupted by freelancers, because nowadays many you don't need to employ somebody to be seated in the office permanently. You can just go and look for a freelancer who you can agree on a contract basis. Then once the job is done, he's able to hand over. So employees have been disrupted by freelancers. We have joint ventures. Joint ventures, maybe two companies agree to maybe like do business together and so on. Nowadays, search are being replaced by what called crowds and so on. So these are some kind of disruptions that we are currently having. So just a minute. So in case you have a question, you can always ask. You can send in the chat and so on. So what is our point of view? Our point of view, we are pointing individuals, organizations, and public policy in one direction. One, what what are the implications of all these developments to individuals? One, it means that you as an individual, you have to engage yourself in lifelong learning, meaning that you don't have to stop learning. Even you have graduated with your uh, degree, it doesn't mean that you have to stop learning. It means that you have to continue learning. Then you have to shape your own career path. Like, yes, you have been taught this thing in class. The lecturer does not have enough time, for instance, if you are a student, to be able to teach you everything. It means that you need to spend a lot of time doing a lot of taking online courses, doing research on YouTube, as long as you have internet access. Another thing which is very important, you have to pursue your passion. It means that with all these kind of changes that are happening, um, recently the KCSE results were being released. Everyone wants to become a doctor. Um, Everyone wants to become a lawyer and so on. Nobody wants to become a DJ. And I can confirm to you that I just want to give an example from my own personal experience. Um, when we were done with that is KCS, when the results were we got the results. So we, as most people went to the university, we had one of our classmates. He scored an A plane, but what he told his parents that I don't want to go to university, but I just want to become a DJ. And the guy was able to enroll in a DJ academy. The the parents' mentality was that this person must study medicine, as we know, the mentality of our parents. But what happened? Um, this guy went and did some kind of, he was passionate about that work. But as you are speaking today, like I can assure you that the guy is doing better than almost all people who went to universities, because what, the guy was able to pursue the passion. He was so much passionate about being a DJ. Those that maybe were being told that by were forced by parents to go and do this course, you find out that yourself you are out and you don't have a job, you start regretting, if I knew, and so on. So these are some of the implications. What you need to do currently, you need to, yes, you might have landed in wherever you didn't want, but you still have time to learn. We have nowadays, everything you want is online. Everyone is trying to publish information and put in a public platform. Then now, those are for individuals engaging in lifelong learning. For us who are already in the industry, we keep on learning daily to ensure that we are at par with the dynamics or the changing technology that is happening. Then what are implications of these changes to organizations? Meaning, for organizations need to redesign work for technology and learning. The organizations also need to source and integrate talent across networks, meaning that nowadays, if you have studied maybe computer science, you don't need to end up in a computer science kind of maybe department. Or if I can say, is that if you are an IT organization like African Center, we don't need to have only those people who have done data science, machine learning, computer science, and so on. We need someone who is good in digital marketing. We need someone across all departments. That is what organizations need to do. Also, the organizations need to implement new models of organizational structure, leadership culture, and rewards. And this one, as we see, uh, most organizations were not willing to adapt digital methods. But you know what happened now when Corona came, COVID-19, people were subjected to move to from their comfort zones to uh, where now the world was moving. So there's need for organizations to implement new models of organizational structure, leadership culture, and rewards. Then what are the implications of these changes for public policy? First of all, there's need to reimagine lifelong education, and meaning that those curriculums that maybe our universities are using, most of our universities are still using a curriculum that was developed in 1960, and that's the sad reality. And if you try to challenge, for instance, someone who is I can say someone who is lecturing you with the emerging technology, you might even end up being punished with a bad grade. That is the sad reality that is current. So meaning that there's need for the Ministry of Education and other stakeholders within this ecosystem um, to reimagine lifelong education, and based on the current changes, where are we? Something that was applied last year. I just want to give an example. When people used to talk about machine learning, when people used to talk about data science, I was wondering what is this. But I realized that when I started doing machine learning, I realized that machine learning was just statistics, but now uh, it was statistics that I learned in class, but now put in an industrial perspective using softwares such as Python for data science, R, and so on. So you can see that there's need for universities to integrate, knowing that we are teaching these people, maybe for instance, I'm teaching people about regression and so on. So they are telling you about what, but not how are you going to apply it. Then also there's need for transition support for income and healthcare. And then also there's need to reassess legal and regulatory policies. And I want to give one example here on reassessing legal and regulatory policies. I know we are all aware of TALA. We have TALA, Suji or PESA, Branch, and so on. You see, these fintech companies or mobile lending companies were able to establish themselves in Kenya when central bank was still, it did not have any kind of regulations to regulate them. So when now the regulator, that's the Central Bank of Kenya, woke up, already we had a lot of complaints, a lot had happened in the ecosystem and so on. So there's need to reassess that legal and regulatory policies to align with the current trends and uh, technological changes. So I just want to highlight some of the emerging professions that are everywhere. One, we have what you call artificial intelligence. Um, I know most of you guys, this technology, the main reason I made sure that it is part of the presentation, because it is applicable everywhere. When you are talking about data science, uh, mainly it is like a field that tries to extract meaningful insights from data. That is what data science is. But now we have related fields to data science. One is artificial intelligence, and we have talked more about this artificial intelligence. And mostly you create just a program, or I can say an algorithm, with the ability to learn and reason like a human being. Then also another relationship to data science, you have what you call machine learning. Machine learning mostly, we have some kind of algorithms or processes that have that ability to learn without being explicitly programmed, meaning that you don't need a lot of programming to create a machine learning model. It is something that It's very simple and straightforward. Then now we have what called deep learning. It is just a subset of machine learning. It is made of machine learning, and mostly it is talking about artificial intelligence there, and we have what called the neural networks. It enables it to learn from very huge data sets and be able to make like to enable you to make decisions. So I wanted also to show you some of the applications of data science, which is I can say something that is all over. One, in agricultural technology, uh, these are just a few highlights. We can use data science in estimating yields and capturing footages. Then when you are talking about legal tech, I have talked about predicting outcome of cases based on natural language processing. NLP stands for natural language processing. When we are talking about support, we have what called call center routing and chatbots, whereby nowadays you can go to any organization's website, you are able to leave a message here or to chat with a virtual assistant. In human resource, data science mostly is used in filtering applications in hiring and hire in the process of hiring. Mostly here, we are talking about a situation where I want just to give one example of an employer that has utilized this so much. We have One Acre Fund. Most of them, when you apply for a job there, it is able to filter the application and even respond to you if you are qualified or not at preliminary stages. Then in retail, we are talking about optimizing supply and demand planning in supply chain management. And I want just to give an example. Most of these companies that are dealing with air transport, for instance, in optimizing supply and demand, for instance, are able to know seasons that they are projecting to have more customers and seasons that are projecting to have a few customers. In finance, we are talking about fraud detection and process automation, whereby we are able to use this data science, machine learning to be able to detect if a transaction is fraudulent or not. In healthcare, we are talking about drug discovery and image diagnosis, whereby meaning that we can use this data science of machine learning algorithms to be able to detect maybe if this disease is like is it if a sample that has been collected from someone, maybe is it for COVID-19 and which kind of a variant and so on. Then in tech, you can talk about recommender systems, and I want to emphasize on this because this is something that I know most guys like Netflix. Whenever you watch a movie in Netflix, after that movie there is that recommendation, or YouTube. When you watch maybe a certain song in YouTube, after that one, there's a recommendation that comes in. Those are application of data science in recommender systems. We are talking about search engines and so on. So now, what are the initiative plans that you need to take as an individual? I'm almost done presenting. So the initiative plans that you need to take as an individual, one, you have to invest. You invest in your time, especially those who are still in campus. There's a lot of time because I know people. I'm not saying that people should not be engaging in social work, social life, but I know people who can watch a movie from like 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning. Just movies. And when you come to the field, you don't have this any kind of skills. So at least if you don't need time, especially for instance machine learning, you don't need a lot of time to learn it. Even if you take 1 hour daily in a year's time, especially for those that come from a mathematical background, you can I can say you can be far. Then another thing that you must invest your time, money, and effort to train your mind. Secondly, intern and explore. Do that work to gain experience. And this is some of the things that we have been at African Center for Data Science, we have been giving opportunities to some of the students who have been training, have been training with us on data science to do a few projects and so on, to ensure that they gain this kind of experience to prepare them for the future, and this future is today. Then also you must focus, meaning that you need to identify an industry and create space for yourself. For maybe to explain on this focus part, again, you need to know what you want, become an expert, then if you become an expert, you create a space for yourself. Because we have those people, for instance, in a company, if someone moves out of the company will be dead. So you need to focus so that you identify an industry, you create a space. For instance, if you want to be an expert in creating recommender systems, maybe in to assist in social media marketing, become an expert there. Focus, become an expert so that each and every person will be looking for you. Then impact, now that's the last, meaning that you influence your practice after you gain that kind of expertise. So the key takeaways from this presentation or this session: one, uh, you must know that the demand for skills is increasing as the business landscape transforms. Secondly, is that how professionals do their work currently is fundamentally changing and will continue to change, meaning that you need to keep on learning. Then the rate at which change is happening is very high, and this one has been accelerated by what you call emerging technologies such as data science, Internet of Things, blockchain technology, and so on. So there are opportunities for efficiency and increased added value. So you need to embrace, promote, and manage change among yourselves. So basically, this is the end of my presentation. As I said initially that we have been recording. We shall share the link of the presentation, but we can have questions. We can have questions before maybe I invite Edwina to maybe close the session or give the comments. We can have questions.